Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here and welcome back to another Division video. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about the most recent Q&A in the IGN First post where they basically had an AMA or an Ask Me Anything with the guys at Ubisoft Massive. Although do bear in mind, at this stage, despite the fact we are only a week away from launch, it's not really an Ask Me Anything, more a ask me some things that I'm allowed to ask and not the rest of it. So really, you're going to post your questions and we'll ask some of them. And to be honest, I'm not really sure who at IGN actually went and chose the questions because some of them are not really new. There's a lot of information there that we kind of already knew, especially if you've been following the news, but there are a few things in there that are slightly interesting, so I figured in the interest of kind of keeping you guys up to date, then I will run through the most relevant questions. Of course, if you guys do want to read every single one of the questions, then I'll leave a link to the full IGN First post in the description box down below. So if you guys do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated. Of course, drop some comments down below, let me know what you think, but let's get started. So kicking things off with number one, or at least the first question that I chose to talk about, and that is, will there be objectives within the Dark Zone? And the short answer, or the answer we got given, was we have landmarks, and these indicate locations with challenging encounters. If you guys remember in the beta, anywhere that was typically marked as a landmark, be that Morgan Library in the top right, the petrol station, the car park, other places like that, anything that is considered a landmark is where you will find higher level enemies. So once the whole map is available, you can then go into the Dark Zone, look for the landmarks, and go there knowing that there will be enemies waiting for you. Besides that, they didn't talk much about sort of like roaming enemies or anything additional on top of that. So let's move on to the next one. Question number two is, why is there no stash in the DZ or the Dark Zone? It's very time consuming to keep going back to base. Would it not make more sense to keep them in the Dark Zone vendors? And the answer they gave was, when you extract a contaminated item in the Dark Zone, the helicopter takes it to your base of operations where it gets decontaminated. However, the stash isn't only available in the base, you can also find your stash in safe houses that you unlock in the world. Now, admittedly, yes, I agree, walking back to the base of operations is a little bit time consuming, but from a narrative point of view, I can understand why they don't want to put them in the Dark Zone checkpoints. I guess kind of part of the reason as well is also because it separates you from that part of the world. I appreciate there's a lot of people that do enjoy spending a lot of time in the Dark Zone, and for streamline purposes, I can understand why we want to run, just to a checkpoint and then go back. But I suppose once you get to that point, if you get to the end of the game, then there are chances where you could maybe never even leave the Dark Zone. However, one thing you do want to bear in mind, and one thing you wouldn't have seen in the beta, is safe houses. We saw safe rooms inside the Dark Zone, but outside the Dark Zone you have safe houses. Take a look at this map. This is actually from when I was at the event in Malmo playing as a level 20 character, and these are the safe houses located around the map. So what you can now begin to see is that there are some safe houses that are near to the Dark Zone checkpoint. So while you will still need to leave the Dark Zone, you won't have to go all the way back to the base of operations. You can instead go to a slightly nearer safe house. Moving on from there, question 3 is, will there be a reputation system in the final game? We'd like to know which players are high risk and likely to go rogue. If not, would you consider adding one? And the answer was, there is no mechanic like this in the Dark Zone. They think that the excitement of the Dark Zone is created by the fact that you don't really know if the other players are good or bad. And personally, I really agree with this one. I, for one, if you guys have watched my videos, you will know that sometimes I go in the Dark Zone and I'm a friendly person, I'll help people out, I'll kind of go and do my own thing. Other times, I do still like to go rogue. And while at that particular instance, when you go rogue, of course, if you go and get your rogue rank and you get killed, you do get penalised at that particular moment. You wouldn't then want to be penalised, for the foreseeable future, whereby every single time someone sees you, they know you've gone rogue in the past. It would just kind of hinder the experience, and ultimately, I agree with them that it wouldn't really kind of create the same environment. So that one, I am completely cool with. Number 4, have you guys considered allowing players to use melee weapons or takedowns? Now the answer for that is we have experimented with it, because if you guys remember, a little while back, I think it was back in 2014, there was a video where an agent actually kind of did a takedown on an enemy, but that has since been removed. They actually then went on to say that being an RPG with a focus on stats, this wouldn't really gel with players' expectations that a takedown would be a guaranteed kill, which is true. If you kind of spec for something and you've got like a lot of health, but then someone could still come behind you and just one-hit kill you, it does kind of undermine that whole logic. Moving on to number 5, The Division is often compared to Destiny. In my opinion, Destiny suffered from doing the same mission strikes over and over again. What are you going to do to keep players entertained and feel rewarded for the amount of hours they are playing? And the answer to that was, one of the best things about the Dark Zone is just how unpredictable it is. Human behaviour is never the same twice, and that keeps the Dark Zone experience fresh. For the missions outside the Dark Zone, we offer several difficulty modes, in brackets stuff that you haven't seen in the beta, with varying rewards. And finally, we are naturally looking to continuously add fresh content for players to tackle. Now do bear in mind that the Season Pass also speaks about events that Season Pass holders will be able to experience, and on top of that, I am still hanging on to the notion that there will be some sort of raid-like activity. That has still, to this day, not been confirmed, but similarly, it has also not been confirmed to not exist. Then moving on to number 6, will there be a way to inspect other players' stats and gear? And the answer is that's not a feature we have in-game. They didn't say anything more than that, nothing like we're considering adding it or anything like that. It was just simply, it doesn't exist in-game. And finally, the last one that I picked out is, Will there be a companion app that allows inspecting gear / other agents, news, daily missions hubs, move gear from stash to agent without having to go to the base of operations? And the answer to that is we've been focusing all of our efforts on the in-game experience, so there is no companion app. Again, this is quite obviously something they could add at a later date, but for the time being, that is final. And that's pretty much it. As mentioned, these questions were a little bit on the light side. I imagine IGN still had sort of limitations on what they could and couldn't ask, or at least what they could get answers on, so they probably went through and chose some questions that at least they could get answers. So admittedly, it's not the kind of like all singing, all dancing Q&A we were hoping for, but regardless, those are the questions. So for the time being, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit that like button, and also keep it locked to the channel this week, because I've got plenty more Division videos coming your way. For the time being, thanks again for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.